Lori Volkman is next up. Lori Volkman is a prosecutor in Washington who started an anonymous blog called Witty Little Secret when her husband was deployed with the military. But it wasn't anonymous for long. She has since appeared on CNN, NBC, CBS, and been in Reader's Digest. She's working on her first book, Solo Ops. Please join me in welcoming Lori as she reads Fish-Infested Waters.
I haven't written much since my husband came home from the Middle East. There was the rush from settling in after homecoming and the visitors and the friends and family. And there was my husband's return to his civilian job and whole readjustment thing. But the real reason I didn't write, readjustment just sucked the whole living life out of me. I really haven't felt like writing about it, or anything else for that matter. Look, when your lover first comes home from a military deployment, it doesn't take long for the shininess to wear off. You start to stare when he's not watching, waiting to see if he unravels. You want to just yank down on any dangling threads. I'm not trying to set him off. I just want to know if he's here with us or still out there somewhere in the desert. My friends think homecoming is the magic pill that cures deployment. It's not. Let me try to explain. I spent most of my Navy brat years in coastal towns with beautiful beaches in Texas and Florida and California and Hawaii. I still fall asleep to a wave machine. In the absence of a single hometown, that percussive sound is the glue that sticks my childhood together. In the summer between my freshman and sophomore year in high school, I was a sunburned haole girl living in Honolulu, and I befriended a group of locals. And one day I found myself out on the North Shore with 4 Portuguese boys at a hidden beach. It still horrifies my father. These were lazy summer waves, and we sat in this flat, glassy spot. We let the waves bunch up slowly and slush out underneath us. We gripped the pointy points of our boards. We dipped the backs of them into the water, with our legs dangling down and swirling around us. Our gaze periodically shifted between the horizon and our own floating shadows on the ocean floor below. Suddenly, the boy to my left pointed a sharp finger at the water, and I saw a huge, dark, black fish off my starboard side, its crisp edges contrasting sharply with the glowing sand. It jerked and flipped its tail, and my veins popped, and adrenaline made my ears swell with sound. But the boy called, "Shark," like a kid in a street basketball game. My instinct was to climb inside of myself, keeping every body part out of the water, except for my poor little fingertips. They were gripping the tip of the board, the only thing keeping me from plunging headlong into the ocean. And I still remember the gritty wax on the side of my face as I laid sideways on the board. I looked across at Portuguese Bo, who'd laid his own face down on his board sideways. And he was looking into my eyes, just like the murder scene in a movie where the camera does a close-up of a dying man and his eyeballs go vacant. And I remember the next moment clearly. I looked into his eyes, and I held my breath and I peed myself. And I wondered if sharks could smell pee in the water just like they smell blood. So, that's just like readjustment after deployment. I mean, you're there sitting on that surfboard, not expecting any big waves, enjoying the company. But soon the slush that comes along is disappointing and unsatisfying. You start to spend time glancing at your own floating shadow, and you see a flicker of something underneath you. Some latent PTSD lurking below. You go back and forth between the horror that PTSD explains the gap between you and your spouse, and the fear that it doesn't. I've looked over at other spouses too, and I've seen that vacant look in their eyes. We shared a moment we didn't want to. And I've been too afraid to peek over the edge of the board. I've held every muscle in my body tight, trying desperately to hang on. But I've always garnered the courage to look down into the water. At some point I realized I just can't sit there waiting to be eaten. Eaten by a creature that may not even exist. Nobody's coming to rescue me because they think everything should be fine. He's home, and we should all be happy. So I've had to be willing to be the one to stick my neck out and peer straight into the water below me. So far, it's empty down there, except for my own hovering shadow. But I'm learning, and as time passes, I get stronger and braver and wiser. I know I'm getting better because I haven't peed myself in a very long time. Thank you.